Hey rich girls, Kirby here, and today we are discussing all things RMDs. RMDs, which stand for Required Minimum Distributions, are an elusive topic for those nearing retirement, until you actually have to start taking them. So what are they? When do you need to start taking them? And is there any way to avoid them? This is Rich Girl's Guide, where we demystify the world of personal finance to help you create a financially successful and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Kirby Delicano, and I worked in wealth management for over 6 years before leaving the office to focus on my business and my family. Let's start off with the easiest question. What is an RMD? Required minimum distributions are withdrawals that you are required to take from pre-tax accounts, typically an IRA or a 401k. While the government wants to incentivize you to put away money while you are working so that you have money to utilize in retirement, once you reach a certain age, they no longer want you hoarding that pre-tax money. They want their piece of the pie. Remember, with pre-tax retirement accounts, you are opting to delay paying tax on the contributions you make now, which means you will need to pay tax on that money when you go to pull it out. Because you are delaying that tax ramification, the government says that's fine, you can delay it, but only until you reach a certain age. Now, what exactly is that age? Currently, the IRS says you need to start taking RMDs in the year you turn 73. As our life expectancy changes over time, obviously right now we have been experiencing a prolonged life expectancy. That age has slowly increased over time, although it did remain the same for over 30 years. When RMDs were first put into law in the 1980s, the age you had to start taking distributions was 70 and a half. Literally the most ridiculous age. Like, why was there just half a year thrown in there? And it actually stayed 70 and a half until 2019. Currently, RMDs begin the year you turn 73, although for anyone born after 1960, that age actually jumps up to 75. Now, to be clear, you do not have to fully withdraw all of your pre-tax money in the year you are required to start taking RMDs. The IRS uses a uniform life table to calculate a percentage of your account that will need to be withdrawn. Let's say, for example, you are turning 73 this year. You have an IRA that is worth $100,000. You will take your previous year ending balance, so your account balance as of December 31st, 2023, and divide it by the figure associated with your age on the uniform life table. For 2023, at age 73, that figure is 26.5. So I'm going to divide $100,000 by 26.5, and my RMD, the amount of money I am required to withdraw from this account this year, is $3,773.58. Now, each year you can see that the life expectancy factor, the number you need to divide by, gets a little bit smaller. The smaller that number gets, the larger the percentage of your account will need to be withdrawn. Now, you do not need to calculate your RMD by hand each year. Typically, this is shown on your statement once you reach RMD age, and most financial institutions do reach out proactively to remind customers that they need to take their RMDs. What happens if you don't take an RMD? Do not skip your RMDs, folks. For every year that you do not take your RMD, you will incur a 50% penalty. That is on top of the income tax you will owe. Financial institutions are required to send certain information to the IRS. So if there's no withdrawal taken from your account, but there is an RMD assigned,
girl, don't do it. It's not worth it.
All I'm saying is take your RMDs so that you can avoid the 50% penalty. It is not worth the risk. The IRS will find out one way or another. Save your and your money and take your RMDs. The most common question I received from folks nearing RMD age when I worked in wealth management was, how do I avoid taking RMDs? You can't. That's actually not true, but the question they asked, how do I avoid RMDs, was not what they really wanted to ask. Their real question was, how do I get out of paying taxes on this pre-tax money? And the answer to that question is you can't. Now, if you fully convert all of your pre-tax money from your traditional IRAs and your 401ks into a Roth IRA prior to your RMD age, meaning you opt to pay the tax upfront during the conversion process, then you can avoid RMDs altogether. Remember, Roth IRAs do not have RMDs. The government already received their share of the tax revenue from those accounts, and they cannot, currently, require you to pull out any of that money. Now, would I recommend that? Probably not, because most people have a majority of their retirement savings in pre-tax accounts, meaning they are going to have to convert a lot of money and therefore potentially pay more in tax over a shorter period of time. Potentially doing smaller conversions in the year you start retirement up until RMD age may be beneficial on a case-by-case basis. But there's a lot that goes into whether or not that makes the most financial sense. Here's my qualm with people getting upset about RMDs. Most people are going to need to take withdrawals from their retirement accounts in retirement to fund retirement. It's not like the government is requiring you to drain your account over a short period of time. They're making you take out a small piece of your account, most likely a lot less than you will actually need to survive on, each year until you die. So for the most part, not across the board, but in general, the people who get upset about RMDs are rich people who are leaving their family a lot of money after they die. They are not necessarily using their retirement accounts to fund their retirement. Now, retirement accounts were not set up to become an estate tool used for the elite. They were created to incentivize Americans to save money for retirement so that they could, in fact, stop working at some point. So while they are now heavily utilized as an estate tool, that was never the primary purpose of these accounts. So just keep that in mind. Common misconceptions about RMDs. Your RMD does not automatically increase year over year. Even though you are required to take out a larger percentage from your account each year, you very well may need to take out a lesser dollar amount in subsequent years depending on your account balance. If you took out a large withdrawal or your investments did poorly and your balance has dropped significantly, you could very well be required to take out less than you did in previous years. Another misconception is that you can only take out the exact RMD amount. The RMD is just the minimum that you need to take out. Remember, Uncle Sam wants his paycheck, so they would happily have you drain the account and tax you on the entire thing. This is actually a fun one that most people don't know. If you have multiple IRAs, maybe you separated them out to hold different investments or they're held at different financial institutions, you can combine all of your RMD amounts and take the total RMD from one account. This can be helpful if you maybe have an investment in one account that you think is going to increase in value and you don't want to sell it. You can instead opt to take the RMD associated with that account from a different IRA with maybe a worse investment that you don't mind parting ways with. Now, this only applies to traditional IRAs. So if you have additional 401ks or 403bs with previous employers, you will need to take the specific RMD from that specific account. Last but not least, you will need to report your withdrawals due to RMDs on your taxes. You'll receive a 1099-Q from your financial institution showing how much you withdrew, what account it came from, and if you had any taxes withheld. This is considered ordinary income and is essentially treated the same as earned money from a job. If you withdraw a ton of money in 1 year, that will increase your taxable income for the year and can possibly bump you up into a higher tax bracket. Okay, I think I have sufficiently used out the RMD acronym. Now, I did not touch on inherited IRA RMDs. Those have very specific rules depending on the type of account, when the person passed away. It can get very nuanced very quickly. So I think I'm gonna save that topic for a whole episode by itself. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment below or send me an anonymous question at the link in my description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next Monday for a brand new episode. Later, rich girls.